Greetings, everybody, and welcome to my fan commentary on parts 1 and 2 of Chasing the Space, episodes 44 and 45 of Power Rangers Turbo. What can I say? I mean, of all of the finale episodes of Power Rangers, and especially of the Zordon era, this one hits different. I mean, as opposed to, let's say, the finales for Mighty Morphin and Zeo, I think Turbo's finale was just as good, but if not, probably a better finale than Zeo's finale. Nothing against Gold, good as Gold, but Chasing the Space felt like a more natural finale for a season, and actually did a proper transition, leading to what was supposed to be the last season of Power Rangers, that being Power Rangers in Space. There's a little bit of some bit here with the moon with Gold Goyle and a chunk of his costume, or what probably was salvaged of it, if you can even make a little bit of it. Now, about the episode in itself, this is the only time I'm going to talk about any episodes of Turbo, because this is 25 years since that finale premiered, but I'm doing the recording weeks before the finale actually aired in the 25th anniversary of its finale, and that's why I'm doing this. You know, of all the hard knocks with Turbo, and thinking back to it as a season of Power Rangers, it's still a season of Power Rangers not many people like all that much, because, you know, it's been 25 years, and, you know, for all the flack people give Turbo, it's still, you know, it had its moments. You have to admit there were some good bits of the series, whether if you like it or not. I mean, yeah, sure, there's still a lot of bad from the series, but I would say of all of the episodes of Turbo, Chasing the Space was the highlight of the season. No doubt, aside from the Phantom Ranger General Havoc storyline from this chunk of Turbo where TJ and them are the Turbo Rangers, this was probably the best part of the series, because this was a proper way of transitioning to what was supposed to be the last season. Because when Turbo happened, the first chunk of the season when we had Tommy and them, Turbo was a ratings bomb. A lot of people had long stopped watching. A lot of people that were, you know, what I heard from for years from the fandom have said they stopped watching Power Rangers because, you know, Turbo pretty much killed my interest for the show for me and stuff like that. And once Tommy, Kat, Tanya, and Adam left, and TJ, Ashley, Cassie, and Carlos replaced them, while Justin was still a mainstay for Turbo, that's when most has stopped watching. But boy, for those who have missed out, this finale and what was supposed to be, what is actually the best season of the franchise, you don't realize how awesome Power Rangers in Space turned out, even for those who didn't even watch In Space and just stopped watching Power Rangers just because, well, they grew out of it. And realizing that In Space was going to be the last season, regardless of the tumult behind the scenes and within the final product of Turbo itself, was, you know, in a nutshell. But you have to admit, I mean, this was the best episode of Turbo. Like, I can't believe the final 2 episodes is the best episode they've done. Because, yeah, Turbo, when it started, it was, well, let's face it, it was a season of all of the, like Linkara put it, a season of missteps. Because the season was supposed to be about the Rangers advancing the greatness. They should have grew up along with us, the audience, and for those who have followed along to this point at the time. And I wish that they should have done something like this the whole season, instead of, yeah, that's a touching moment with Justin hugging his dad again, because, again, also, speaking of Justin, you know, for all the flack people have given Blake Foster, look, he tried his best when he was a kid playing Justin, the Blue Turbo Ranger, but you got to admit, yeah, he was annoying in the first chunk of Turbo, but he meddled out over time when TJ and them became the Rangers, the new Rangers. Oh yeah, this is the moment, the bone-chilling moment of Zordon's capture. See, this kind of stuff, I knew that if there was more build-up to this, about more mention of Zordon in the episodes before this, they should have mentioned more about what was going on with Zordon after he and Alpha 5 had left the power chamber, but it's really chilling to say the least, because, again, I never really thought as a kid at 5 years old watching this finale, never really thought that this was what they were setting up. And yeah, Turbo may have not built up anything proper, like setting up the 4 would-be new Rangers, replacing Tommy and them. But this was a way better setting up for the next season, which was going to be the last one. Even though, and also as for Gold Goyle. Gold Goyle was supposed to be Dark Spectre from what I heard. But since they couldn't get his costume for American footage when filming this last chunk of Turbo, because remember I said that, when they would film these episodes of Power Rangers, the show would film from November until like June or July with seasons like this. So sometime around the summer months of 97, and then they started pre-production on Power Rangers in Space. They couldn't be able to get Gold Goyle, who was Emperor Exhaustus from Car Ranger, to be used for American footage for him to be Dark Spectre. So that's why we settled with the Malagor costume for Dark Spectre instead. This is the last time we're going to see the Turbo Ranger more for the second chunk of the series and for the franchise. Yeah, that's the last time we're going to see them do that morph. And also by the morph call, and also by the roll call when they jump out and leap into action. Color order of MMPR, but except if the Green Ranger was black. This is the last bit of Car Ranger footage they will use as well. I don't know, like, Gold Goyle, he could have been used for Dark Spectre. Instead of coming up with Dark Spectre, they should have went with Gold Goyle. Or maybe rename him as Dark Spectre, but just repaint the costume if they could have gotten the suit. I'm telling you, like, this is one heck of a way to close out a season that a lot of fans really hate. And it's something. And I think this 2-part finale made up for all the things Turbo could have been if it didn't do a lot of flub ups, and if Divatox was less annoying, and if Elgar wouldn't always be the butt of attention, always being sent out with the monster from his aunt to Auntie D, basically to fight the Rangers every episode. This is the kind of stuff that I've always wanted out of Turbo the whole season, and I think for any Power Rangers fan. What I also liked about Chasing the Space was its tone. Like, yeah, we still have annoying, silly old Divatox and Elgar, but with a story as depressing and dark as, Zordon being captured by the United Alliance of Evil, the Rangers being easily distracted, Justin has to move away from Angel Grove because his dad has a job elsewhere. All of those plot threads to close out the season like this. It may be a depressing way to close out Turbo, but it's a very satisfying one. Yeah, well, Gold Goyle, it must be this goddamn powerful to the point maybe Divatox should have had Gold Goyle at the start of Turbo instead of trying to arise Malagor back in Turbo, a Power Rangers movie. Well, if they had gotten Gold Goyle's suit earlier instead of Malagor, but again, that was the Turbo movie. You can't rewrite that from the history of Power Rangers. It is what it is. But, man, like, yeah, Malagor could have been something in the movie, but damn, look at the amount of firepower Gold Goyle is giving to the rescue Megazord. But Jesus, I mean, seeing this is even twice as depressing as what we'll see later in part 2, but damn. Of course, we see some shots of the footage being reused over and over, like, no different, because, again, they have to make it like Gold Goyle is thrashing the Megazord, and even reversing a shot we've seen of it, crash into a mountain. Like, jeez, like, of course, they couldn't even, since I wish they had done some of this in American footage, but again, when they were filming the season, they didn't have the access to a Rescue Megazord Victory RV Robo outfit, costume for a suit actor to wear for American footage. But yet they had the Turbo Megazord RV Robo suit for American footage for the movie and one episode of the show. So, like MMPR season 2 before it, if you don't have the original suit for the Megazord for American footage, I guess you have no choice but to reuse the same stock shots like here with the explosion. And I think TJ did a better job self-destructing a Megazord to sacrifice it, unlike Tommy's efforts back in Ninja Quest when he and the other Rangers had to evacuate the Thunder Zord. I think this little bit here with the Rescue Megazord self-sacrificing himself in front of the villain, this sort of foreshadowed what Samurai would do when the Samurai Rangers would sacrifice all of their Samurai Zords to destroy Master Xandred. That's quite foreshadowing that too. Well, farewell, Rescue Megazord. You may be better than the original Turbo Megazord, but sucks to lose you. And yes, we're going to lose the Turbo Megazord also. Damn, it seems like Divatox should have had this guy at the start of the season. Yeah, that's what Linkara also said. And this is going to be the last time we're going to hear the Turbo theme song when the Rangers do anything awesome, but I don't think, if I were to re-edit this bit, not use the theme song because, I mean, what's left of the Turbo Zords at this point, as much as I didn't really care for the Turbo Megazord that much, but it's sad to see this get destroyed too. Now with the Turbo and the Rescue Zords being destroyed, what makes of the Artillotron Carrier Zord? The Artillotron Carrier Zord is just going to be left defunct since both Turbo Zords and the Rescue Zords are gone. That means the Artillotron, or maybe Gold could have probably destroyed that off screen, or if they, well, I don't think there was no way, but if only there was an explanation or a cut moment from the script where, like, oh, Gold Goyle destroys Artillotron also in the process, since the Rangers are going to lose all their Zords in this episode. Yeah, as, when I was a 5-year-old kid watching this finale, this was a very depressing way to see them destroy the Zords. I mean, yeah, it was bone-chilling when I was 3 years old seeing how the Thunder Zords got destroyed, but man, it's just real messed up seeing the Turbo Zords getting eviscerated and thrashed like that. Talk about Zord carnage. And I wish that, other Power Ranger finales would follow suit to something like this, but while Mighty Morphin Season 3 would have the Rangers lose the Thunder Zords in the beginning of that season because we were switching out from the Thunder Zords to the Ninja Zords. This is the last time we're going to see the Rangers with their individual turbo weapons also since, well, I wasn't really that fond of the turbo weapons themselves. The Turbo Ram and the Turbo, what is this cannon thing? If you're following along in the commentary track, if you're watching it on YouTube or the DVDs or something. But, yeah, Lightning Cruiser and Storm Blaster are going to have a key moment in their capture also going into the next season. So, yeah, I just feel like seeing the weapons, it's just unsatisfactory. But this was also an American footage moment, not in Car Ranger. In the original Car Ranger, Gold Goyle, well, he had that expired thing of butter that he had to, spew out of smoke, but in the American version, TJ takes the Lightning Cruiser and launches the individual turbo weapons into Gold Goyle's mouth and just destroys him. It's a bittersweet way to end it, but with their Zords and weapons gone, now that what's going to be left is the powers and the base of operations we've had over the course of 5 seasons of the Zordon era. Yeah, but don't worry. I mean, going into In Space when we see the Mega Voyager's destruction, that shot also foreshadowed the Mega Voyager as much as I'm still painstaking traumatized by what Tankenstein's effort with Mega Voyager's destruction. What's another key plot hole that I find frustrating looking back in this in retrospect? Once Elgar and Rygog and a squad of Piranhatrons see where the Rangers' command center is, this was one of the few plot holes that annoyed fans for 25 years watching this finale. Is that, Rita and Zed always knew where the command center was. The Machine Empire never even knew where it was, but they know about the Zeo Rangers and what they were up to. But, and now Divatox wants a celebration because, she'll celebrate later when she and her forces go to the Sumerian planet in Chasing the Space Part 1. Where was I don't know if I may be mistaken about Porto. Like, was he discontinued for the rest of the show after Turbo's over and then going to In Space? Yeah, your end of the Ranger ceremony. Yeah, on the subcraft. But then you'll celebrate even more when you destroy the Ranger's power chamber. Of all the flack fans still give Divatox as a villain, despite her idiocy at times, I'll save those thoughts when I get to part 2. This is the final time we will see Demetria in the series, since, you know, Kara Hoyt tried what she could with the role of Demetria, since after all, it was a struggle for her to do both Divatox and Demetria in both places for, you know, one character for the Rangers and, of course, the main villain of Turbo. You know, Blue Centurion, this was his last appearance during Turbo, but we won't see him again until Countdown to Destruction in space. And oh yeah, speaking of which, Blue Centurion is coming to the Lightning Collection in 2023. Man, kind of wish that if Mighty Morphin Power Rangers ended this way instead of what we got in the Alien Ranger story, if Rita and Zed had all of their forces to destroy the command center this way, it feels a little too late for that. I mean, when Rita and Zed were around and when the Rangers were still Mighty Morphin, and yeah, sure, you had the Equation Rangers, but I wish that Rita and Zed had their forces to destroy the command center in a final battle like this. Yeah, final farewell between Justin and Blue Centurion. Oh yeah, and a continuity nod from that one filler episode about that wishing coin thing. Farewell, Blue Centurion. We'll see you next season when you and the Phantom Ranger tried to fend off against the Machine Empire during Countdown to Destruction. Man, I just feel like, you know, of all, again, like I said, of all the flack I give, you know, many of us can give Divatox as a villain, but of all the villains of the Zordon era, and seeing her with that gauntlet, you know, she may be a stupid-ass villain. But I had a feeling, looking back on this, now we're in an era with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. If we had a Power Ranger Cinematic Universe film of Turbo, and if we didn't make Divatox stupid, if we did her nowadays, she would have been like a female Thanos. And if there was a movie of Turbo where, like in a Power Ranger Cinematic Universe, if with this kind of finale like this in a cinematic form, she would have destroyed the Turbo Rangers and defeated them outright, a la Thanos from Avengers Infinity War. And farewell, Demetria, even though you were a very hated character. Yeah, coming back to this finale 25 years later, even the more I rewatched it over and over in repeated viewings on TV or on DVD, Netflix, wherever, it is a very depressing way to close out Turbo. But when I also think about this finale, and especially you get to part 2, it's a lot like The Empire Strikes Back, but of Power Rangers. With Blue Centurion and Demetria gone, Divatox's forces now take the lead and take the charge. This is like Wakanda, the Battle of Wakanda before the Battle of Wakanda. But you know what's going to happen to the Rangers once we get to part 2. It's only 5 Power Rangers, Alpha in the power chamber now, and what's going to be left of it come the next and last episode of this. But man, it just makes me wonder. I wish that they should have done this in MMPR when that was closing out during Mighty Morphin Season 3, but it just makes me wish that if MMPR Season 3's ending was done differently instead of what we got. I mean, I still like the ending of Mighty Morphin with Hog Day Afternoon Part 2, how Rito and Goldar planted a bomb underneath the command center's basement to blow up the place, and when the Zeo Crystal was believed to be stolen after they fixed everything, the time stream and everything. But here, this is going to be the last time we're going to see this place. The power chamber set for Turbo had started to grow on me a little bit, despite they brightly lit it up more than what we had back in Zeo. I mean, even though it's the same power chamber set from Zeo, but they modified it for Turbo's aesthetics. But this is going to be the last time I'm going to see this place. And at least finally, Alpha 6, Ghetto Alpha, can act properly this season. Where was that acting chop from Alpha during all of Turbo? And now as the Rangers charge against the Piranhatrons going into part 2. Okay, recording the part for, recording part two's portion of the commentary. So this is basically Avengers Infinity War with the Battle of Wakanda before that was a thing. But Power Rangers did it first. Sorry, MCU, Power Rangers did this thing first. But at what cost with those results? I mean, with those thousands, if not millions of Piranhatrons all over the place, how can you actually fend off the power chamber with that many? And there's only 5 Rangers. That is very underwhelming, if you say so. It's a very underwhelming way to end the season, too. And with the help with a cavalry with the lightning cruiser and storm blaster, yeah, that was great. Because again, if Blue Centaurian never left, and also where's the Phantom Ranger in all of this? I wish he was around. I mean, they could have helped. Again, this was before Avengers Infinity War did any of this. Oh, the Piranhatrons can actually blow those conch shell horns, but they don't have mouths. And seeing the Piranhatrons with hammers, yeah, they think they had Mjolnir or something from Thor, but yeah, right. You can try. And it's what's even worse, and then even one Piranhatron trying to smash the window of Lightning Cruiser with that hammer. Give me a break. You break it, you buy it. And those net covers to capture the 2 vehicles. That is crazy how they did this all-out invasion. Was this one of the is this one of those rejected ideas that was cut from the Turbo movie that actually made it into the show, but just very at the end? Because I do recall in some of the original drafts for the Turbo movie script, when Adam and Tanya were going to fend off against Divatox's forces in their Zeo Ranger forms, Zeo Rangers 2 and 4 forms, and then when they would come back to the power chamber with the suits all torn up. Is this what was supposed to happen in the Turbo movie if Tanya and Adam were facing Divatox's forces while Tommy and Catherine were in Africa trying to get Larigo? Was that one of those rejected plans from the movie that made it into this finale? Or I don't know. Yeah, now that the Rangers are back into the base, all of those Piranhatrons with those hammers and pitchforks and stuff, man, this is very underwhelming. No, overwhelming is the better term for it, actually. And now they're retreating, but they'll be back with something even bigger and forceful to try to destroy the place. Trash it. They'll come back with something bigger, a bigger way to tear up the place. I also want to point a note about the color tubes of the power chamber for the season. You know, another thing that dawned on me now that we have Dino Charge as a season, you know what's so funny about the color tubes of the power chamber for Turbo? And the way how they're shaped? It foreshadowed the Energems for Dino Charge. It's just from the design of the tubes. Oh yeah, one last pep talk between Carlos and Justin. They had a few moments of like this during the season. This chunk of the season anyway. Even though Justin will leave after this and TJ and them will go up into space and try to think they'll stop Divatox, but then they'll run into Astronema and then Andros will give them the space powers next season. Oh, battering ram? Oh man, where on earth did Divatox get battering rams for the Piranhatrons from? Holy shit, it's like, okay, I see what they're doing. They're trying to break in the door and like, since those hammers were not going to do it, so a battering ram will do it. Smash those doors open so they can break in. And then even you'll have Piranhatrons take those grapple hooks to go up into the roof and try to break in. And I think I'm glad that season finales of Power Rangers like this will follow this trend also with end of the world plots, where villains' evil forces will break into the Rangers' base of operations they had over the course of the year, and would also destroy and trash the place. And as much as they already lost the Zords and their weapons over the But though Countdown to Destruction would perfect that formula as well, but though it took them 2 episodes before Countdown to have them lose their Zords. Not really their weapons, just the Zords they lost in that 4-part endgame. I remember how bone-chilling this finale of Power Rangers was when I was 5 years old. This is a well-written episode of Power Rangers, and perhaps one of my all-time favorite episodes of the franchise. In my 30 years of life watching Power Rangers, I mean, this episode still gives me chills, given, especially this part of it, how the Rangers will not give up and stick with Alpha during all of this, because it may be, you know, with the impending doom that the Rangers are sitting in, they're sitting ducks, and now that the Piranhatrons have made their way into the place, and then Elgar is with them also along the way, I'm like, oh man. They're all bashing the doors like the Piranhatrons think they're the FBI or something. It's very horrific to see the doom of the Rangers, and now that the lights are out, holy crap. Well, here comes the, you know, the Piranhatron FBI, I guess. Coming down here, like, trying to do it like the Rangers doing a drug bust, and they're going to break up the place. So the Rangers have to save what's left of this place before it's time for the power chamber, the base of operations we've had over the course of 5 years of the Zordon era. So this is a good moment here, but it's a very satisfying one. And part of this kind of feels very Avengers Endgame-like also. Once again, making MCU references with old episodes of Power Rangers. Because a lot of stuff I've watched from Power Rangers, you know, the Marvel Cinematic Universe will do better than that. Well, that's the last time we'll see the Auto Blasters. And yeah, the Rangers have to do what they can to save the last of this place until it was time for Elgar and Divatox to level the place up. This is just like, wow. I wish they had this kind of drama during the entire season, but instead of, you know, all that silliness that half of Turbo's writing team wanted to do to embrace what its center counterpart was, while the other half, this whole episode, this whole finale was an amalgamation and culmination of what Turbo should have been all along. You can do some comedy, but you have to have a balance of drama. But next season would fix that. Elgar, you're not worthy of Thor's hammer. You think you're that worthy and you're going to smash Zordon Demetrius' tube? Cone-headed penis head dumbass. And that's the end of Zordon's old tube. Well, that's the last of that. And another thing that was also annoying about Turbo's first chunk that they decided to culminate in this final episode, the bomb stuff. Now, the bomb stuff they should have saved until the end of the season instead of having Divatox when Carol Hoyt was playing the character. Instead of having her doing bomb plots every damn episode. And again, pirates that do world domination, you know, again, it's a Power Rangers thing. I mean, I don't know any pirates that would do world domination that want to blow up things. This was only a Divatox thing, but really? Well, this is the last time we're going to see Divatox with her toy thing, her bomb toys to try to destroy the Rangers. So this was culminating to what they've been doing with Divatox the whole season of Turbo, her and the bomb stuff. It's like, what is up with her in bombs? It's like she's like a space pirate themed terrorist, if you will. And you know what's worse? She blows up the power chamber with the Rangers in it. Wow, that was absolute. Yeah, and one of the most controversial things that people did point out about this finale is that of all the villains of the Zordon era, how does she become the one who won against the Rangers? She actually pulled a Empire Strikes Back on us. And it doesn't feel earned. Like, looking back on this, like, what? Huh? Like, she defeated the Rangers? Like, you're gonna wish Rita. Yeah, Rita and Zed had their victory against the Ranger system. It took them 3 seasons to get rid of them. The Machine Empire couldn't do it because the Rangers were so overpowerful with their precious, awesome Zeo powers. The Machine Empire could not withstand a chance. But what's frustrating, what I love and hate about this, and what I find funny, is how Divatox, who is a comic relief villain, actually defeated the Rangers. And I'm like, the entire course of Turbo, she defeats the Rangers? This bitch did not stand a chance to defeat them. Yeah, as soon as she heard that floating head mention Dark Spectre, you know what's going to happen, right? You know, it was a nice nod. They mentioned in the first episode of In Space how Dark Spectre reminds her of her fiance from the movie. Oh yeah, fun fact: that flaming floating head talking to Divatox was actually showrunner Judd Chip Lin. So basically, Divatox was Thanos before Thanos, but at least Thanos was more competent of snapping half of the 50% of the universe gone and the other 50% still alive to bring balance. But the way how Divatox did this defeat of the Rangers, yeah, this was, the element of the Rangers' suits torn up, that was what they intended for Turbo Power Rangers movie. How Tanya and Adam's Zeo suits would have been torn up, with holes like that into the suits. When they would come back and see the power chamber, they would come back to the power chamber with their suits torn up. Just like how they did here. Yeah, throw that damn fucking Divatox flag away. Fuck that. That bitch actually defeated us. I know the feeling, Carlos. I know the feeling. And that's the last time we'll see the Turbo Ranger suits until, TJ with the Turbo Red suit for Forever Red and the suits again for Legendary Battle and Super Mega Force. Well, even though as much as fans never did like Alpha 6 during Turbo, at least he was competently well acted here than he was the whole season after replacing Alpha 5. But though when TJ and them go into space with the shuttle, with Alpha onto the shuttle, and then the longer they go into space, Alpha's vocal cords will be messed up during the long space travel. But wouldn't Alpha's voice box? Well, maybe later on. Well, I guess from a narrative perspective, going from this episode to Chasing the Space to from Out of Nowhere Part 1. Sorry, when the Rangers are on the space shuttle into space, Alpha's vocal cords would later malfunction when up in the space because maybe you can see a tear right behind Alpha's arm, his right arm. Because the destruction of the power chamber, not only destroy, him being in it, and then with that hole to his arm, that would also destroy his original voice. And that's another thing I have with the Zordon era. With that black box decoder. Yeah, they'll use it later on going into the first 2 episodes of In Space when what they'll use. Zordon, for some reason, as much as I like him as a mentor in Power Rangers, there's another common thing I have about the Zordon era is Zordon always has backup plans that never get fully explored or explained enough. That's why it's so solvable for the Rangers and Alpha to find out this stuff. Because, Zordon... let's go to show Zordon's incompetence throughout his 6 years of this era. It was kind of coincidental because 1997, late 97, early 98, Michael Bay's Armageddon movie came out because Armageddon came out the same year as these Power Rangers. And that was a space travel movie. But next year, the next season will be all about space. Yeah, there will also be that Lost in Space movie with Matt LeBlanc, but I don't even want to talk about that one. That Nasada site, I don't know what location. This location will be used later on in a few seasons of Power Rangers. Up until about reinforcements from the future from Wild Force when representing the year 3000, 3001. When we see Katie and Lucas see Nadira again. It was used a couple of times in Time Force's first 2 episodes. I recall this location was used here. This location was also used in Lost Galaxy for Terra Venture. Not like as if Nasada has a head HQ within Terra Venture or anything. But look, what location is this in California? Because again, if I ever do travel to California, I'll find this location. All that is just stock footage of the space control, the space control system room. Part of it is a studio set, and then that bit there when you see that POV shot, that was actually stock footage. It looked like VHS camcorder stock footage of the place. Commander Herquist, or whatever his name is. Why do I have a feeling he looks like the Power Rangers equivalent of astronaut, the late Walter? No, he looks more like. No, hold on. Why do I have a feeling that the guy, kudos for the casting directors for the Zordon era to get the guy they got for Commander Herquist or whatever his name is. He's kind of like the Power Rangers' equivalent of he looks like a Power Rangers equivalent of the late Walter Cronkite in a way. Well, since we don't have no more Car Ranger footage, now on to some early use of Mega Ranger footage. Yeah, time to go into space, bitches. I remember seeing this also later again in early 98 to, coincide with the premiere of Power Rangers in Space. I remember back in early 98 when Fox Kids reran these 2 episodes of Power Rangers Turbo to get me excited for Power Rangers in Space. I mean, like we all was as 90s kids, that with that space shuttle, it was time to go bigger to save the franchise before the show gets canceled altogether. Because this was Power Rangers' one last hope. Because yeah, Turbo was a ratings bomb the whole season, and while fans still don't like Turbo, this was still a decent way to close out the season, despite all the tumult Turbo had gone through. If this is the kind of stuff we had the whole season, like I was saying since throughout the commentary track for parts 1 and 2 of this, I'm like, man, I just wish Turbo was more like this than what we got. Yeah, it's time to go up into space. The final frontier. Yeah, quoting Captain Kirk from Star Trek. But back then, when I was a kid, I was not even a Star Trek fan. Even though Next Generation by this point was like long off the air, but they still did those movies though with the Next Generation cast. I think it was for the best that in the original drafts for this finale and for the initial plans for In Space, that Justin would come alongside TJ, Cassie, Ashley, and Carlos up in the space. But I think in the final moment, they decided to not have Justin come with them. So again, given that his dad had job problems all season, I think it was for the best they had to leave him behind on Earth. Because I also heard, I think one factor was because Blake Foster was getting paid more than the adult Ranger cast. So that would explain why, well, let's face it. For all the flight, people have given Justin as a character. But look, it wasn't Blake Foster's fault. So it's time to leave Justin behind. We'll see him again in True Blue to the Rescue and In Space, but I think it was for the best that, yeah, and that's stock footage of a regular space shuttle launch, so not from the Sentai footage. Well, see you next season, Justin, for at least one more episode, and then you're gone. This was the Empire Strikes Back of Power Rangers. And with that to be continued next season, Power Rangers in Space thing. This was epic. You gotta admit, Turbo may have been a bad season, But this finale was the highlight to close out what was a really underwhelming, misstepped season of Power Rangers. Without this finale, we wouldn't have what would be the best season, and the season that was intended to be the finale of it all. Power Rangers in space.